The meeting is being live streamed. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Final Six Tribal Council. Usually we start off by asking the immunity winner. In this case, Topher, how does it feel to win immunity? But we're going to switch it up now. It's Final Six. The questions get scrumptious at this point. Because last night we were talking about last time we were talking about swords and shields, right? Like how idols are like this shield that can be cracked, like that's penetrable. But this is as firm and as strong and as resilient and as tough as a shield could possibly be. No one could possibly take your immunity necklace away from you tonight, although it is only good for tonight. So Topher, do you think people talk to you differently knowing that you're safe and you can't be voted off tonight? Or is it mostly the same?
I think that having immunity can have one of two different results. One, you have the ability to be the center of attention. At certain moments in the game and pivotal votes, I think you are the one that everybody clamors to. I think at other times, having the immunity necklace makes it to where you are unnecessary to be part of the crucial plan. And with the immunity necklace, the stress of who's going home and who needs to go and who do I need to appease and who do I need to appeal to, that is minimal. So the efforts on my part are even less than what they would have been had I not won immunity. And so I think, to answer your question, I think the immunity winner can sometimes put themselves in the center of attention. Sometimes they are necessary for the attention, and other times they become unnecessary at all.
And the thing with being only being 6 people left, there's less people to talk to. Because once you get the security, I'm good for at least this round. I may have to sweat next round, but tonight I'm going to be chilling. I'm going to be safe. But the ambiance changes not only when you win immunity, but with as few people as there are left in this game. We're only a couple rounds away from being the size of your OG tribes, for example. So Andrew, how has the vibe been the past couple of days?
You want my honest answer?
That's the goal. Yes.
Well, I've got a lot to get off my chest, so thank you for asking. It all starts Friday with the vote. Obviously, I was one of the folks left out. And you know what? Nick ran his mouth a lot, and that last day, to the point where, I'm not the type of person to go around and apologize for voting a certain way, because I voted that way for a reason. So even if, me sitting there knowing that Nick's running his fucking mouth to everyone, I didn't care, because I would rather him stick around in that situation, knowing full well this dude is being overly chaotic. I voted wrong. People tried to talk, and I just kind of told them, hey, the vote's in the past. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm off to Final Six immunity. Camped out for Final Six immunity. Hoping that it was something I could sink my teeth into. I saw what it was, and I announced before the challenge, this is how that challenge is going to go, and I'm not winning. Like that's what it was. Do I feel like other folks were trying to throw it at different points? Yes, I do. But ultimately we end up in a situation where I don't win. I understand that my name's been out there the last couple of rounds, and it's for reasons that, let's say that I'm a challenge threat, but let's say I'm a challenge threat. There are other people in this game that have won the same amount of challenges that I have. Let's say that I'm a social threat. I don't feel like I'm any more open and honest and friendly or whatever than other folks in the game. And if we want to go strategy-wise, there were 5 people, and on the Seb vote, I was just one of 5. But all of a sudden, it's Andrew's plan, and Andrew needs to go because of reasons. Reasons. And after a while, there have been people that said, hey, it kind of looks like it's a Pagani. And I'm like, no, that's crazy. This is the orc community. These people are sociopaths. They would never do that. But at a certain point, you got to kind of start looking at it and realizing, oh man, they might actually be doing that, which, you know what? I'm all about not big moves, and the ultimate not big moves game is to just pagong people. So what I think is going to happen tonight is, because I've only talked to 4 people today, and I've really only talked to like 3-ish within the last 6 hours. What I think is going to happen today is I'll go easy vote to get rid of me. They'll get rid of Heather because they think, oh, well, he thinks that he's going, so might as well deal with Heather. Or they'll do something crazy just in case something happens, maybe like a 2-2-2 or something like that, just to like firmly say, hey, I did this move at Final Six. Well, I'll tell you this, if I go to the jury at Final Six and someone tries to claim that it was a big move getting me out at Final Six, or they even think that it's a blind side that they're getting me out at Final Six, I'm just going to laugh at them, because this isn't a blind side. It's really not a big move because it's the move. Like, this is you guys' perceptions of what the game is, oh yeah, get rid of him, who has done just the same amount as other folks in the game. And it's frustrating, but it's part of the game. And I told everyone I wasn't going to motherfuck them on my way out. So instead, I just muted myself during the challenge and motherfucked everyone that way. So I'm looking forward to whatever happens the rest of this. I think that answered your question.
What do I say in response to that? I mean, Andrew made a very bold statement here. I mean, a bunch of bold statements. Not starting or ending with this, but just taking me out is not a big move. If they get me out, they're gonna like get Heather out. Like, that type of honesty. If this is true, if this is accurate to how Andrew's perceiving the game and how he perceives the game events moving forward, honesty is very hard to come by in this game. You know, trust and honesty are the 2 main currencies in this game. Julia, how do you take that type of honesty, that type of blunt? If I go home, you're idiots. What, that type of mentality?
I respect it. I mean, I don't know what else there's to say. Like, how do I take it? It's, if you think your back is against the wall, I respect the hell out of saying your piece and saying what you think needs to be said. I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know how else to respond to it. So I feel like I respect it. Say your piece. Say what you need to say. Say what's on your mind, and go for it.
It's actually funny because, like, in tribal council, you ask these questions and you don't want to give away what you're doing or how you feel, or how comfortable you are, how confident you are in the relationships that you're building, the names that you're being told, the alliances that you form and you cultivate. You don't want to allude or be too forthright with the person you're getting out, because the game of blindsiding and making people feel comfortable up until the very last moment is still very much in play here. But being left out of any vote this late in the game is still very detrimental. You kind of have to move on by force because it's crunch time. You can recover from this in a way where you can't recover on, like, being blindsided at Final 14, for example. But Mikey, how hard is it to reconcile with people this late in the game? They leave you out the boat, they betray you, they lied about a name. How do you reconcile?
It's kind of hard to do this late in the game. Truly, you can reconcile with people, I think, on a pretty superficial level, especially like with the cast we have right now. I think we're all mature enough people that we understand that this is a game, it's a vote. But anytime you're left out of something, it's gonna affect your perspective on the game, and there's not much that you can do to change that. It's like squeezing toothpaste out of a toothpaste tube. You can get it out, but then you can't put it back in. The toothpaste is always going to be out of the tube.
I like that analogy. I got to use that. So I think every juror that comes in has their different immediate reaction to being voted off. May it be a blind side, may it be just a straight up, you're going home. Sorry, if you lost immunity, you were gonna go home. And with that, there's like a cool down period when you get to Ponderosa, when you get to that jury chat of sort of taking it all in, digesting what just happened, trying to figure out where you went wrong. Heather, do you ever find yourself looking back at past rounds and wondering what you could have done differently or what may not have been the best move?
Here's the thing. I feel like since Merge, it's been an interesting thing because the first time I was able to even try to prove any sort of trust,
I'm on pins and needles.
I was about to say,
messages
like that,
and was left out of the vote. So like, did I freeze?
Yeah, you freezed. You said the first
Oh,
time
no,
I
wait,
had
did
anything
my-
to prove was.
I bet you it was great though.
Oh yeah,
I
okay.
bet what
So
you said was amazing. If you want to restart, I mean, by all means, you can.
man, I was really going off, and like my connection just doesn't like pretty people. So anyway, I was basically saying that looking back at the votes for the jury right now, the first time I was really able to prove any trust to anybody, I was left out of the vote, and I wasn't even told really about anything about that vote. So it's like, I think, yes, as Mikey said, it's hard to weave your way back into this game, but also we've only had like 3 rounds from jury. So it's like, it's not even that late into the jury phase where it's like, okay, fluidity can't happen. So, but in order for fluidity to happen, some people who need to go, and that's what happens. And I've always been open that I'm willing to hear things out and work with things and everything, but I've also been very open about how I feel about things. And I feel like a lot of people have heard how I feel about tonight. And whatever happens, whether I'm being like fooled or bullshitted or stuff like that, or if I'm actually being told the truth, we'll see. But yeah, it's like looking back at the jury, I mean, it's scary for me because it does kind of look like a potential pagonging. But I kind of disagree with Andrew on the part that I may go next if dancing goes out this round. I do feel like I may be taken at least 1 round further because they're going to need someone to help them get rid of each other. That's how I feel.
Another bold
And I think
I'm glad the connection cooperated enough for you to be able to get all that out. But there's one thing that I want to piggyback off of, and that's like the timing with this jury, because technically Heather is right. We're only 3 rounds out of the jury, and in like a real Survivor season or like what pre-new era, Merc starts at like 13 or 12. The jury starts roughly around that time, and 7 to 6 is like that in-game stretch, because technically in real Survivor, there's no rounds that are advantaged or idle lists where you can vote and you can prove your loyalty. But in this game where we merged at 10, jury starts at 9, we're kind of like still trying to figure things out, but it's so close to the end that you kind of have to figure out your plans quickly. So Julia, like, what takes precedent here? Like, is this the end game, or are we still in the middle of the jury?
I feel like people have been playing their end game since the jury started. I'm not used to playing games where we merge with this few people and there's this few people on the jury. That's just not the game of Survivor as we see it now. You explained it, like you said, they're doing Murgatory at 13 and there's 20 billion advantages in there. It's a huge jury and it's a final 3. So I think this game has been very different in the fact that small jury, we know it's going to be a final 2. So I've been playing trying to set up my end game basically since we got here in the merge, since the jury started, because there's so few rounds to actually make a move. Like, I don't consider 4 a move round unless you pull off like a 2-1-1, unless it's something. Like, final 3 is not a move. That's making like an informed decision. Like, we're getting down to it. There's been very little votes, especially since 9 was a unanimous decision, that things can move and shake. I don't know. I don't even know if I answered the question, but like, yeah, I think this is endgame. It's basically been endgame for a while. Yeah.
That does answer my question very well, but like, with the way that these games develop in real time, it shifts our perceptions of like the meta of how we play Survivor as we know, how we play Big Brother as we know. This trickles into other reality show games, because right now we're used to watching Survivor through our TV screens as this very fast paced, this relentless, this aggressive, this cutthroat game of advantage here, idle here, advantage here, idle there, twist there. You gotta earn the merge. I hate that twist because duh, I do. Of course I do. That's the consensus. But can you play, Mikey? Can you play Modern Survivor in a cast this small, in a game designed to be more befit to old school Survivor?
I mean, I think there's an interesting balance to be had, especially with all of the Coven stuff. Like, y'all threw 8 advantages into the mix when we were on our swap tribes. And so like, I think that's definitely very reflective of Modern Survivor. But then you have the 7-person jury, final 2, which is very reflective of old school Survivor. So you need to kind of be in tune to like the workings of both of those kinds of games, and it's a difficult thing to manage.
And to Mikey's point, we let A out if a Coven was even formed. But relatively speaking, like, merge-wise, I obviously can't speak on the pre-merge because you guys can't access it, but post-merge has been very tame with these advantages. We haven't really seen like this advantage get in this plethora of advantages being played all at once. Like Topher, all the advantages gone, or like, are we expecting it tonight, tomorrow? What's going on with that?
With respect to advantages, as they say, knowledge is power. And I think in this game, with the way that these Coven situation has played out, we have put all of the advantages onto a platform. We have opened up the windows. We have shown the light into the dungeon. Usually where the game is played in secret and the game is played in dark, we have said, hello, everybody. Here is the advantages and here's who have them. And this is how you shall play them. And so I think with that, with everybody knowing where everybody's advantages lie, nobody, in fact, has an advantage. In fact, having an advantage, as we saw earlier in the merge, could be a disadvantage, as it has led to many a kings have been slayed and befallen. And to bring to your point about the old school Survivor mentality, it is quite contrary to our normal beliefs, because we started this game at 16. And when you start a game at 16, in normal Survivor, we are 4 people deep into the game. We are maybe at our first swap. And now we are playing a long-term game in the short term. Before we knew it, we were down to 12. And then all of a sudden we were at final 10 with a twist that brought us straight into the final 9. So yes, it is very interesting, because you look at each round as an opportunity to make moves, but then along the way, there are pawns on the chessboard that have to be kicked off. But it's so ironic, because you move the pawn off of the chessboard in one move and realize that you have a lot less pieces to play with on the next round. Whereas in a normal Survivor, somebody goes out, say, in 10th place. That's the 3rd round of the merge. However, in this Survivor, somebody goes out in 10th place. They barely even made the merge. And the 3rd round of the merge brings us all the way into the final 8, or in this round, really the final 7, because that round, the mid-merge didn't even really count. We merged at 9, relatively speaking. So now here we are, Do we move a piece off the board, a simple pawn just moved to the right-hand side? Is it a big move? Is it a small move? Who knows? Or do we take a bigger shot at it? Do we risk it all and spin the wheel, make the deal? We don't know. But these moves have to take place as we have to decide who is going to leave us. And the person leaving us tonight becomes the fourth member of the jury. As the fourth member of the jury, what happens there? Now, those four people decide who wins the game. The next three vote outs may not even matter, or they could make all the difference if they have the correct amount of intel to inform the jury of what really happened in the game. Because the truth is there, but the truth is subjective.
As the great and sexy Eric Cardona once said, perception is not reality. Reality is reality.
Reality is reality, and the reality is like there's a reason why Survivor is like into like a game of chess, like, and not something like checkers. Checkers is way more straightforward. Checkers you could kind of like recklessly like half a word your way. I don't care. Half a word your way into a winning position and single-handedly taking out each piece one by one at a time. It's not that simple in chess, nor is it that simple in Survivor. You have to think long term, but in such a short, condensed game, it's like if the chessboard was cut in half and you have less pieces than you normally would in a traditional chess game. And much to Topher's credit, after tonight, realistically, if the three current jurors and whoever joins them right now wants to, they can make a pact and they can confirm who wins before a Final Five challenge is even competed in. And like that says a lot to the power of the jury. We just talked about there's only two. We can't base off how we manage the jury and our win equity by two, but only just a round or two later, all of a sudden the jury seems a lot more powerful. The jury seems a lot more scary. Andrew, do you think that that's going to happen? Like these first three, well, I guess now going to be four, that's going to be what determines the winner tonight? Or do you think the jury's going to be more fluid than that?
Depends on why people are threatened by me. Because if they're threatened by me because I can talk to people and convince them of things, which, thank you, then yeah, there's all they should be scared of that. But if you know how it is realistically, how this is actually going to go, I feel like people are going to have minds of their own. You know, I've sat on juries before where the consensus was one way, and I'm just like, I don't really want to do that. So like I feel like everyone on the jury has a mind of their own. Yeah, I feel like people that go there, they're going to give information. Some people might give less biased information than others. I feel like that I'm a relative straight shooter especially when I get voted out of a game. I have no reason to lie at that point and say, hey, this is how it happened. Believe it. If you don't, you know, vote the way you want to, or wait till final tribal. But you know, I don't feel like anyone that's left in the game, and I could be wrong, would go to jury and say, the four of us are voting this way, and fuck this person. You know, like Mikey said, I think it was Mikey that said, you know, I feel like all of us at this point are like, you know, we're all adults. We all knew what we signed up for, and once we're gone, we're gone. You know, all the anger and all the speeches and all that kind of just fucks off afterwards. So I don't think that the jury is going to have a hive mind, which is quite different from how the rest of the org community goes, but that's for another time.
That's for another time. And before I close off and give you guys a chance to vote, regardless of who gets out, we'll be proud of yourselves. Final six, that's nothing to scoff at. Sure, it's a smaller group of people, and I guess you're getting 6 out of like 50 people, like some like Mr. Beast org or something like that. I guess it's technically more impressive, but 6 is nothing to scoff at, and nothing this late in the game is ever that easy. And last question, because I wanted to give everyone 2. I was able to do that. I'm proud of myself. What makes this part of the game hard? Is it just you're so close to the end and one thing goes a different way, you could have won the game? Or is it just you build relationships with these people, you get closer to them, and it sucks that they didn't have your back like you thought it did? So why is it hard now?
Well, I mean, I think we're all adults. It's like if we know that they don't have our back in the game, that doesn't mean anything about like how they see you as a person. So I do think like the hardest thing is like actually genuinely liking these people and then being like, well, shit, you know? Because like I can say for a fact I genuinely like everybody in the final six right now. Like that's the hard part. I guess also just as it gets to like less and less people, it's hard to like go through all these different strategies and stuff like that because it's like there's 6 people. It's like less and less. That's why I think it was Julia that said it before where it's like you make a move at 4, it's not really a big move because like there's only 4 people. There's only so much you can do with 4 votes with someone's at least one person saved. So yeah, I think that answers something.
It did answer something, and thank y'all for putting up with this. I guess after final 8, like it kind of compiled, so I'll let you guys vote. Send in your votes. If you want to change votes, you can. Shout out people. That's a thing. That's a thing that people do. Yeah.
If anyone has trouble writing my name, I was just saying, if anyone has trouble writing my name down, it's spelled Jacob. Thank you.
I thought you were about, when you started, I thought you were about to say J-U. I was like, catch hands, girlfriend.
Oh my God. Shout out to Trevor for being the only person in my project this season. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Is there like a weird
Yes. Okay. But also shout out to Trevor. Thanks, man.
Shout out John Farrell, forever and always. Being literally the only person who listens to me talk about this game.
Shout out to, I'll say it all again, the iconic fire-making losers of season 2 and 3 of Distortion Survivor, Karen and Mac, icons.
Heather, do you want to shout out Alex so I can unshout him out? Or do you want me to shout him out so you can unshout him out?
We could both half shout him out. We would like do halves this time.
Shout out.
Okay. I shout out. Well, anyone want to do the rest?
Shout out X.
Shout out Hypnotic. Y'all should apply for season 2.
Period. Apply to Hypnotic. It's a great game.
Slime get it.
Shout out Jen Rudolph.
And I promise Keith won't be there. We love him, but he won season 1, so he can't.
We love Jen Rudolph. But wait, there's no Jen Rudolph anymore. Her name is Jennifer Ram.
I know. I said that because she said on the thing, maybe my husband will shout me out one day. So that was like my bitter call out.
Shout out to my wifey.
That was my bitter shout out for her.
The better orc player in the household. Forever and always.
I want to know if Jacob has the votes. Girl's got homework to do.
Oh my God, I have a lab report.
Good, perfect timing, because I do have the votes. If anybody has an idol or advantage that they would like to play, now is the time to do so.
All right. It's been burning a hole in the pocket. I just need to do it for my own sanity and sake. Last time I had an idol like this, I got blindsided 6 idol in my pocket. Didn't really want it to happen again. I'm assuming I'm going to get nullified here. I'm assuming I'm going home. I don't know. I in good conscience and good faith, I have to play it. It's something I just had to do. Thanks.
This is a hidden immunity idol. Any votes for Julia will not count. I have the votes. Once I read the votes, the person just has a few moments to gather his, her, or their belongings and get the hell off of my island. First vote. Andrew. Second vote. Mikey. That's 1 vote, Andrew. 1 vote, Mikey. Andrew. That's 2 votes, Andrew. Mikey. That's 2 votes, Andrew. 2 votes, Mikey. Andrew. That's 3 votes, Andrew. 2 votes, Mikey. 1 vote left. The 11th person voted off of Spellbound Survivor the Craft and the 4th member of our jury. Andrew. That is 4. That is enough. The floor is yours.
I'll see you all next week.
And like that, like blow of the wind, you've made it to Final 5. It's, of course, an honor to have made it this far, and I hope you guys buckle up because each vote, you let 1 vote escape you. That could be the difference between you staying, you tying, and you going home. So I'm going to end the live